I'd love to just share some recent examples of some automation that we've built for our managed services customers. All of our managed services customers are, um, you know, directly partnered with a systems engineer. They have access to our security, our networking team, and our automation team that we have internally. And we've identified different areas that can be automated and taken off of either our plate or internal IT team's plate. And some examples of that would be um, onboarding of new devices, using tools like Intune and Autopilot to build up specific policies so that as soon as a user logs in, uh, all of their applications that they're needed every single day are installed and provisioned, and their access is granted at the appropriate time. We just recently finished up a project where we can delegate uh, calendars in Outlook to users' direct supervisors so that they can see, and that runs, every single month. And so every time that a new employee comes on, they don't have to worry about repeating that same process. Internally, we've used it to automate our onboarding for a new employee. So their user accounts are provisioned, their access is granted, their access into all of our internal systems like Slack and everything like that are automatically done instead of taking somebody several hours to manually go in and create every single account. And sometimes forgetting some. And so we've been able to uh, streamline those processes and save significant amounts of time for not only our users, but also our managed IT teams. And, it's automation for us is, we view it as kind of like cruise control. It's not that it's taking jobs away. It's that it takes away the mundane, repeatable tasks that our team or your team would have to do every single day. We're still steering, we're still in control, but the automation handles that repetitive work. And then all of our managed services customers can benefit from that because it creates scalability, and our customers can expand our operations without having to worry about doubling their IT spend. If you grow, that's amazing, but if your costs for IT grow in lockstep with that, it's not sustainable. And so that's where we can directly benefit any of our managed services customers.
Thank you, Will. Just to kind of move things forward for the next common gap that I want to make sure that we identify so we can work on closing those across our industries is going to be the backup gap, right? We have processes and procedures to make sure that we are running as optimal as possible, that our end users are working on a consistent day to day. However, one of the things that we want to make sure is we're taking proper backups, that we identify um, our RPO and our RTO. What that really means is making sure that we've got a good recovery point objective and a good recovery time objective. To take a step back a little bit, when we're looking at backups, it's easy to get lost in a checkbox. Do I have them? Yes or no? There's a lot of things to consider outside of did I check the box? When we're looking at backups, we need to focus in on our lines of business and the solution stack that enables that. Each line of business should have its own identified RPO and RTO. How long can I go with this particular stack being down? How impactful is that going to be to, you know, my revenue at the end of the month? How critical is this piece of information, and how fast do I need it to be available when something goes wrong? We have different machines from file servers that you'd want something, a backup every hour. Janice in accounting lost something that was super important and she needs it back. It's end of the month. We need it critical. It's a very important piece of our information. It might be something that's done once a month, but that once a month thing is a business enabler or disabler. We're looking at things from a deeper perspective, not just checking the box, but more so, how do I validate my workers can work with the production stack that they need? How long can they be down without impacting our revenue? How fast do I need them to be up? What pieces of data do I need where? It's a chess game, not just a checkbox. There's so many things that go into uh, uh, a proper backup process, more so than just saying this should be backed up once a day. We need to identify each line of business and the solution that enable that so that we can minimize the amount of loss, minimize the amount of risk, and identify just how long and just how much time I need to properly move forward while going through a bumpy road. We can't prevent risk. It's impossible. But the most important thing is to identify it, be comfortable with it, and know your way around it. Anytime we lose a critical piece of our information, that is a loss of money, right? We're no longer able to provide the service that we've committed to. That could be an internal service, right? No one, Active Directory is down and my people can't work. How long is it going to take to get my infrastructure back up? This could be something external facing for, a banking app or whatever it may be that the world relies on. How do I provide consistent and reliable backups for when those emergencies or those bumpy roads hit? It's inevitable. There will always be something to protect. And at the end of the day, we need to narrow those RPOs and RTOs down to those specific lines of business and not just checking the box to say my company has backups. There's a lot there. And once you start to dive under the covers of that, you'll start to realize I want more. My users need their data faster. My environment can't sustain a 24-hour downtime. That critical piece of profitable infrastructure has to have, be up within the hour. I need to recover data within the last 15 minutes. Identifying those things, diving in deeper into those RPOs and RTOs to make sure that when disaster hits, we're properly covered is paramount. Making sure that our backups are the way that we need them to be allows us to move forward in that next step so that we can provide a sense of disaster recovery for the organization. Accidents happen, mistakes happen. The world that we live in is changing rapidly. We never know what piece of infrastructure might be going through a, environmental hazard. Hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, we can't predict that. But you can get comfortable with what to do when those disasters do hit. Practice makes perfect. I come from an old school traditional Jamaican mom. I practice, I practice, I practice. These are key things to make sure that when a rainy day hits, you have an umbrella and you know how to use it. And not just you, but the entire team is comfortable. Being comfortable with your risk and understanding how to maneuver through those fires is critical. And every piece and every member of the IT team has to be comfortable with that. The worst thing that you can do is fear the fear. To kind of go a little further into those backups, into that comfortability, as we're looking into proper architecture from a backup perspective, one of the key pieces that we have to have is an immutable backup. Something that once that snapshot, that backup process is completed, it's hard coded and sealed. There's no infiltration from bad actors, changes and deletions from manual intervention. Like it says, human error. I think we all know that's probably one of our biggest problems overall we can secure and make sure that all our boxes are checked. But if we're not protecting ourselves from ourselves, we will have a problem. So making sure that we're having immutable backups is a very important piece of designing a overall backup and disaster recovery infrastructure. So to kind of circle back, you want to make sure that your backups are immutable so that once they are taken, they're protected and they're solid. You're confident in your recovery. You want to make sure that your processes are automated and tested, that your confidence within your IT staff, your IT managers, and your overall IT leadership is familiar with how to handle those potentially business impacting moments, those moments that, do cause downtime, that are potential impacts to your reputation, that they are practiced, that they are ready and comfortable with ways to perform those actions the way that you need them to be done. Saul alluded before around compliance. We all have levels of compliance that we have to adhere to. We all have audits that have to be done. The most important thing one of the most important things when it comes to an audit is, what do you do when something goes wrong? What's your plan? Where are your details? What's the process? Is it written? Is it tested? Is it validated? Those are the key items that have to be there just from a backup perspective overall. So to kind of move things a little forward, when we're looking at things in a business perspective and how those lines of RPO and RTO that those business lines that produce profit for an RTO and RPO perspective are identified, our overall business is protected from a disaster recovery perspective. Our engineers and overall IT staff is prepared and practiced, monthly, quarterly, yearly, for whatever exercises need to be done. So your processes are known like the back of your hand.